So very good morning to everybody. Thank you, TKM Institute of Management, for inviting me to this important program. Well, this particular subject, like leadership. Well, I'm not sure whether I'll be talking too much on that particular subject per se, but whatever I might tell you surely will have some kind of bearing, direct or indirect, on this particular subject, because what I'm planning to tell you is something about something which is so close to my area of activities, which is, as it was mentioned, the mass media. Mass media, as everyone here would know, is something which is just around you now, because never before in the about 500-year history of modern journalism has media become so important or so influential in human lives. Whatever you do, you think, you plan, you dream, you act, everything is, willy-nilly or without your knowledge or with your knowledge, is being shaped, defined and influenced by the media, which is something which is so new to this particular age in the history of humanity. Because you are living today when you are in the world of not just newspapers and magazines, but 24-hour news channels. Radio is doing its own part, and beyond that you have the other cousins of media, like the social media or the search engine groups. So this is something which has never happened before. That is the most important point that I want to tell you. You are a generation which is the first to go through this huge wave that's enveloping or overwhelming the world. That's a wave of media. That is why this particular age or century is actually called by some as the media century or the mediated century. That is when your life is mediated in all its aspects by the mass media. But there is a huge disruption that is going on. First of all, I would say that a generation like mine, for us it is, for you it's just natural, but for us it's a huge change, in the sense that we used to depend on so many other things for acquiring information, acquiring knowledge or whatever. Libraries, books, teachers or orators or lecturers or whatever it is. For information was there, but information was collected and acquired in completely different fashion. But now, as you know, information is actually around you all the time. All you have to do is just to have your finger on a particular knob, or the latest is just a smartphone. All you need is this. You have everything on that small little equipment that you have in your pockets. It is a computer, it's a camera, it is a newspaper, it's a media, it's through which you can get to the farthest corners of the universe irrespective of the particular area that you actually live in. You can send a particular line, 3 or 4 lines in Twitter or Facebook or whatever, throughout the world within a few seconds. You can get a particular picture out in the world with even less time than us, than just we are talking about, just less than the time you need to utter a line. By the time I finish talking here for 5 minutes, millions of pictures, millions of photographs would already have been uploaded on the YouTube or words on the Facebook. So this is the kind of huge change that we are going through. And for the media, this is a huge turning point in the sense that ever since media, the modern journalism began about, as I said, about 4 or 5 centuries back, the most important challenge before the media was to encounter the challenges of time and space. How do you get information from the farthest place to somewhere else? So how much time you take to get a particular information from one particular point of time to another. So this was a huge challenge that the media faced throughout the history. So this was the most important challenge. As time progressed, thanks to the kind of huge changes in technology, this fight went on and on, every century, with the media making large advancements. Now we have reached a stage where the media has actually won this battle. Now time and space just do not matter in front of media. Wherever it happens, you get it in a flash of a second. Narendra Modi planning his tour, in London, in Wembley, or the India-South Africa test match where Ashwin makes a fantastic spell, or Sachin Tendulkar in that star cricket match in the United States. Everything, you get all those things right as absolutely live at any corner in this world. Maybe in the farthest village in Kerala or somewhere else, you get all this information. So that is why I said, if the most important challenge before the media was about time and space, the media has actually won that battle. But that doesn't mean that everything is perfect and hunky-dory and very smooth in the world of media. There is a huge disruption going inside the media. As I said before, your life was actually, until the entry of television, about 20 years back, news television 22 years back, your life, the media in your life was either a newspaper, which used to come in every 24 hours, or a still lesser role played by radio. So the media was actually a marginal player in your life. You get newspaper in the morning, you read that, and then 24 hours are passed when the next newspaper comes. So what happens in between? If it's a very important event, you come to listen to that through a local news bulletin, a radio or the most. But now that has changed. Every minute, every second, you have 24-hour channel, and also now the social media and other things on your telephone, mobile phone, where every second a news, some kind of news is generated, some kind of photograph is shown. So this is the one side. The other side, what is the internal disruption that is going on? The media, as it was known in the past, as I said, is now called the legacy media, or the media that is almost on a vanishing point, which is the traditional media. What is the traditional media? The traditional media is basically the print media. India has traditionally denied the world of letters to women. to women, to lower castes, to the poor. So there is another angle. So in other societies, at least for a long, long time, for generations, for millennia, information, words, or the world of knowledge was so limited to an elite in the society. The well-off, the upper caste, the male. Only those sections had access to the world of knowledge and letters. So what are you talking about the democracy about print or democracy about the word? So only very few people had access. You can say about in Kerala, it's about 100% literate. That is not the case with the rest of the country. Even after independence, you know that about at least 30 to 35% continue to be completely illiterate in India. So all these, filters used to work. Only people who pass through these filters, which is called the elite, people who are well off, people who are males, people who are upper caste and all those things. So that is one major level of restriction that the written word imposed on society. And there was another thing is that written word is actually, the language is a major restrictive tool. Only those who know a particular language would be able to understand the news, whatever is written in that particular language. So in Trivandrum, if you go about 40 kilometers down south, it is Tamil. So whatever you talk, you write in a particular language called Malayalam would be Greek and Latin to people who are just about 40 kilometers away from Trivandrum. Vice versa. From the Tamil, whatever is happening in Tamil, you don't understand what is happening in, you don't understand because you know Malayalam or some other languages. So there is another major restrictive mechanism ingrained in the word. And there is something else, there are some others also. For instance, age is a major factor. Who can read, who can write? Only those who have passed at least 5 years of age. So then that is yet another restrictive dimension to word. And there is another fundamental thing. Who can read, who can write? Only human beings. Human beings form just a minor faction among the whole living, the universe of living things, living organisms in this world. Only humans. So the whole talk about word being democratic or print media being democratic is actually could be challenged from various quarters. But what about the other, television? It is the world of pictures. Pictures have a tendency to communicate much more effectively than the word. History has proven that because you know about the cave people of the world. The earliest people, the earliest human beings used to communicate through pictures. You know the cave pictures of Wayanad or some other place. So these were the people who are earliest forefathers of our humanity used to communicate through pictures. So it's a strange kind of irony that after in 21st century, we have become almost like our forefathers because our communication now is again through pictures. So pictures have come back to our lives. So this circle has completed it. We have started from that and then finally we have all become cave people. Be proud. No problem. There's nothing wrong about it, nothing bad about it. So that is what I said. Now pictures, as most of you guys know here, when you talk about, when you make a presentation, I don't have those things, but people present with all kinds of pictures and graphs and statistics and other things and those things and, your big PowerPoint presentation or whatever, it's all pictures. You would say it's very modern, but it's not actually modern. It is the original form of communication by human beings. So we are all back to these days of our tribal forefathers, our great forefathers. So one of the most important democratic, as it were, dimension of pictures is that pictures are not faced with any of those limitations I told you about just 5 minutes ago. Pictures don't need you to be literate to understand. The fundamental condition of to understand a word is that you have to be literate. Other than you have to be a human or you have to be above 5 years, it's different. But all those things do not matter in front of pictures. Pictures communicate. That is why the moment television became influential, all the other forms of communication were pushed behind. Television became the king so fast. It took so many years, so many centuries for people to be here, as I said, 35% are still illiterate in India. But what is the reach of television? It's about 80%. More than 80%. 80% of Indian people watch television. So it crossed the Rubicon in this, as it were, of to read, to understand, or even to read, you need to be literate. So that is not necessary. And all those other things that I told you about, there is no class, there is no caste, there is no gender, nothing. And finally, I would say that you don't need to be even a human being to understand pictures. I don't know how many of you have seen your pet dogs. There are many pet dogs that you have as pets in your home. Keen watchers of television. I won't say it's a dog's medium because I happen to work, it's my livelihood. But the thing is, even dogs or even babies, infants, newborn, there are homes where I would say I have seen that the mothers actually switching on a particular jingle. So they would say the child would eat or drink only when he or she comes to hear about that particular jingle. He will be happy. And now even the infants are familiar with the kind of advertisements. You would say that when the ads come on screen, the kind of excitement it creates to the infant in your home. The child who would be quarreling for something will be suddenly glued to the screen the moment that particular ad passes through the screen. And immediately after this, the ad disappears, the child will be back again quarreling or wailing or crying or whatever. The point is, the picture has the capacity to arrest the attention of even the newborn. So the point I am trying to make is the effect or the potential power of the picture. People who were unknown until then suddenly became the most important people to rule a state like Delhi, of all places. Delhi, which is dominated by the most powerful political parties in the modern world, or even before that it was Rajdhani for the most powerful kingdoms. So only power was the language of Delhi. Only those who had power had anything to do in Delhi, be it politics, be it industry, be it even media. But suddenly, people who had no faces, no names, nothing, and the most important, through Kejriwal and Aam Aadmi Party, what happened? Even after the so-called Modi wave, when Narendra Modi almost appeared infallible, unbeatable, and all those things, what happened in Delhi after the election? A few months after he came to power in Delhi, Delhi state, Arvind Kejriwal and his unknown party or unknown people became the most powerful political leaders of that state. So why? The most important reason I would say was social media. One, India could be awakened, the conscience of India could be awakened by this concept or the bane which is corruption. The movement against corruption in Delhi was actually fueled and sustained by nothing but social media. It is the social media which brought about those people from all corners of Delhi, people from campuses, people who are completely unfamiliar with the world of politics, came in droves, in scores, and hundreds of people came down and assembled in those centers of Delhi where this issue of corruption was being focused as the most important problem that India faced. It was a creature, this Aam Aadmi Party and Arvind Kejriwal were actually created by this new awareness or new consciousness about corruption, and that which was created actually by the social media. No other traditional forms of communication were effective in the case or were employed in the case of Arvind Kejriwal. The mainstream media ignored or ridiculed him, and no other fund, they didn't have money compared to huge parties like BJP or Congress. Aam Aadmi Party did not have any money, did not have any leaders, did not have television with them, did not have newspapers, nothing. But yet, in spite of all this, it was Aam Aadmi Party and Kejriwal which came to power not once but even twice after he resigned. But I'm not saying it's just that, but there was a huge demand for a completely new, credible, genuine alternative, and Arvind Kejriwal and Aam Aadmi Party personified as the most credible alternative before Delhi, and Delhi lapped it up or lapped Arvind Kejriwal up. So same thing about Nirbhaya. Why Nirbhaya became a huge event in India? Huge issue in India. India is a country traditionally known for its women getting raped every second. How many women? There are so many statistics about this. People are getting raped, and so women getting raped is not an issue or not as big as an issue like Nirbhaya was in India ever before. But Nirbhaya actually kicked up our Indian conscience like never before, because the kind of huge campaign that was done through social media. Certain problems like authenticity, but lack of time makes me stop.